Polly Bergen was one of those rare Hollywood figures whose life seemed like a movie itself. Beautiful, talented, determined, and endlessly tested by the times she lived in. Born Nellie Paulina Bergen on July 14, 1930, in Knoxville, Tennessee, she grew up in the rough shadows of the Great Depression. Her family was painfully poor. Her father, William, couldn't read or write, and her mother, Lucy, had left school after the 3rd grade. They survived on welfare when work dried up, and when William came home injured from construction jobs, young Polly ran the household, cooking, cleaning, and caring for everyone. Their house had almost nothing in it except a velvet picture of Jesus. That mix of poverty and responsibility forced her to grow up fast. The Bergens moved constantly between Ohio and Indiana, never staying long enough for Polly to make lasting friends. But through the struggle, she discovered something that gave her hope: her voice. At just 14, she got her first radio job on WKBV in Richmond, Indiana, performing alongside her father. Listeners were stunned. Her voice sounded rich, mature, and soulful, so much so that many believed she was a 25-year-old black woman rather than a white teenager from Tennessee. She earned $3 for that first show, a small miracle to a family that had almost nothing. It was then she realized singing might be her ticket out. By 16, Polly dropped out of school and left home to chase a dream in show business. To her conservative Southern Baptist family, that was almost scandalous, but she wanted more than a life of small chances. When she arrived in Hollywood in 1949, she was 19 and alone. Casting directors turned her away, saying her Southern accent was too thick and her look wasn't refined enough. She waited tables, slept on couches, and practiced every night to lose the accent, studying how movie stars spoke and moved. Her persistence paid off when Paramount executive Hal B. Wallace saw her perform with a local band and decided to give her a chance. Her first appearance on screen was barely 3 minutes long in the 1949 boxing film Champion starring Kirk Douglas. She played a nightclub singer, and though uncredited, she caught Douglas's attention. He told the studio she was a natural. Columbia Pictures soon offered her a 7-year contract for $150,000. By 1951, she was making $25,000 per film, appearing in comedies alongside Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. Hollywood had a new darling, but behind the glamour, she was still fighting uphill battles. In 1953, while performing on Broadway in John Murray Anderson's Almanac, Polly damaged her vocal cords trying to make her voice carry across the stage. The injury required surgery and months of silence. Smoking since childhood made recovery even harder. When she finally healed, she had to relearn how to sing properly, rebuilding her technique from the ground up. It was one of the first of many times she'd be forced to start over. That same year, NBC hired her for Your Hit Parade, paying her $750 an episode to sing the week's top songs live on television. She didn't always like the material, especially when producers made her sing pop songs that didn't suit her voice, but she refused to fake it. Despite threats to fire her, the ratings soared, and she appeared in 12 episodes. Her independence irritated some executives, but it was part of what made her stand out. Around that time, Pepsi came calling. They wanted a wholesome all-American star to promote their light refreshment image and offered her $50,000 a year, an enormous sum then. Polly became the Pepsi girl, smiling in commercials, singing jingles, and hosting Pepsi-Cola Playhouse on ABC, where she made $2,500 per episode. She even negotiated a clause allowing her to reject scripts that made women look foolish, a bold move for a woman in 1955 television. The show's ratings climbed 23%. But the job came with suffocating restrictions. Monthly weigh-ins, a 3-pound weight limit, and studio oversight of every role she could take. Pepsi controlled her image, dictating how she dressed, what she could say, and even what kind of character she played. For 4 years she lived in that glossy box. Still, Polly kept fighting for substance. She recorded the album Little Girl Blue in one night with pianist Jack Kelly in 1955. The sparse, dreamy record, harp, piano, and guitar, reached number 10 on the Billboard 200 and showed her talent for emotional storytelling. Critics compared her to Helen Morgan, a singer famous for tragic, torchy ballads. Bergen didn't just sing. She inhabited her songs. But she wasn't interested in being cute or empty, and her defiance often came at a cost. Her records didn't sell as well as simpler pop hits, and producers found her too serious for their liking. Then came the turning point. In 1957, Polly agreed to play Helen Morgan herself in a live television drama for CBS's Playhouse 90. The role of the doomed singer, who drank herself to death, was exactly the kind of honest, emotionally raw part she'd always wanted. On May 16, 1957, her performance stunned the nation. She cried, sang, and broke apart on screen so convincingly that audiences sat breathless. Critics hailed her as extraordinary. She won the Emmy the following year. But success came with a cruel twist. The next morning, a New York newspaper sneered, "Pepsi girl takes up hard liquor." The headline was everywhere, and it wasn't praise. Pepsi executives panicked. Their wholesome spokeswoman had played a drunk and ruined their family-friendly image. Within months, her contract was terminated. She lost $75,000 a year, and her reputation took a hit. Hollywood, ever cautious, followed Pepsi's lead. Directors who once courted her now dismissed her as the Pepsi girl. The very role that proved her talent had made her unemployable. Over the next 2 years, she lost more than $200,000 in canceled projects. Nearly $2 million today. Still, Polly refused to disappear. She returned in 1963 with The Caretakers, playing a woman in the midst of a breakdown, earning a Golden Globe nomination. That same year, she starred in Cape Fear opposite Gregory Peck, proving again that she could command the screen with intensity and depth. The industry finally began to see her as a serious actress, not just a commercial face. Away from the camera, her personal life was turbulent. She married agent Freddie,